Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain in Python Django web tutorials how to insert the selected multiple checkbox values into MySQL database using jQuery. Let's select drawing and notice now we don't getting any comma here, but when I select the second value, we got the separated with a comma. Now reading. Now this time I'm selecting drawing, cooking and reading, 3 hobbies. Let's insert. We got a message record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check our table. I'm reloading the browser. So here we got the newly inserted hobby names drawing, cooking and reading, and we have removed the last comma. That's it. We have implemented to insert multiple selected checkbox values using jQuery in Python Django web tutorials. That's it. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before creating a new project in Django web framework, first we'll create a new table in PHP MyAdmin database. And notice the sample DB is my user database. Let's browse this database. And right now this database contains around 43 tables. Now let's create a new table. Click SQL tab. We'll create a new table. Create table. The table name is a hobbies, and let's add ID, the column name, integer type, primary key, and I'm adding auto increment. After that, the second column is a hobby names, varchar 100. Let's create this table. Click go. And here we got a message, the table has been created successfully. And notice here in our database, the hobbies table is created successfully. Let's browse this table. And here we got the results of this newly created hobbies table. Right now this table contains zeros. Now let's write the coding part in Django web framework to insert multiple selected checkbox values using jQuery into this table hobbies. Before creating a new Django application, first we'll create a new folder in local disk D drive. Right click the mouse, select new, and I'm selecting folder, and the folder name is Django hobbies. Let's browse this folder. Right now this folder is empty. Now let's create a new Django application in this folder. I'm using Visual Studio Code to create the Django web application and Python programming. First, we'll add the folder name which we have created in the D drive. Open file. After that, open folder. The folder I have created in this local disk D drive, and the folder name is Django hobbies. Let's select that one. Select folder. And here the folder is added successfully to this Explorer panel. At the right side we got the welcome page. Let's close this welcome page. As we know that this folder contains right now empty files. Let me minimize and expand. Now let's create a new Django web application in this folder. Open view, select terminal, and here we got the terminal, which is the command prompt, and notice the folder name and the path. Now let's create a new Django app. Now let's create the application, Django application, Django-admin start project, and the project name is insert multiple values. Enter. And notice the insert multiple values, the application is created successfully in this folder. Let me expand this application. In this application, there is a subfolder insert multiple values and one manage.py Python file. Let me expand this subfolder. Notice there are some default Python files, settings.py, URLs, and these all Python files has been created successfully when I created this project insert multiple values. So after creating the application, now the next step, we'll create a new template folder for our HTML pages. Select the root folder, new folder, and the folder name is the templates. Enter. And now in this templates folder, we'll add one HTML page. Right click the mouse, click new folder, sorry, not the folder. Right click the mouse, click new file. The file name is index.html. And here we got our index.html page. First, let's add some checkbox controls with some hobby values. Doc type. Now let's add some HTML file code. Doc type. After that, let's close this HTML tag. Inside this HTML header section. In the header section, I'm adding the title. Insert selector multiple checkbox values. After the header section, I'm adding the body tag. Inside this body, I'm adding the center tag. And inside this, between the center tag, I'm adding the header tags h1. How to insert selector multiple checkbox values using jQuery. After that, the next header, Python, Django, web tutorials. After that, I am adding the horizontal line. Now, after the horizontal line, I am adding on some checkbox controls. Let's add the input element. Input type is equals to checkbox. And value is equals to the first one, the hobby. I'm adding the drawing, the hobby name, drawing, the next hobby name is a dancing. The value is dancing for the second checkbox control. Cooking, reading, and the last one, skating. Just for the demo purpose, I have added only 5 checkbox controls. After that, now before adding the jQuery functionality, let's save this file first. Save all. Now after that, we'll add one models page. Let's select the subfolder. I click the mouse, click new file. The file name is models.py. Enter. And here we got the models.py. Now in this models page, we'll create one class which contains our property and the table name. Before that, we have to import the class name models. So from django.database.db import render. Sorry, not render, it's a models. Now let's create a class. To create the class name is checkbox model colon, and this CHK box contains the property. If you notice in our table, we have 2 columns. The ID column is the auto-generate column, so I'm not adding the property. but I'm adding this for this hobby names. The property name hobby names is equals to models dot char field, the data type is, and max underscore length is 100. After adding the property, now we'll add the table class meta colon db underscore table is equals to, and this meta class will add our table name. Again switch to the database, copy the table name hobbies and paste here between these double quotes. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. So after adding the hobbies, now we'll create a view page to insert the selected checkbox values. So again, right click the subfolder, click new file. The file name is views.py, enter. In the views.py, first let's import the necessary classes from Django.shortcuts import render. The render class is used to render our templates on the browser, which is our index.html page. And next, we need to import the class name from this models page. So from the models page is in the insert multiple values. So add insert multiple values dot models import our class name. Our class name is Checkbox. Copy that one and paste here. So after adding the necessary package classes, the next step will define the function name. The function name is insert checkbox values is a function name which contains a request colon. Now in this function contains the logic to insert the records. So first, if request.method double equals to post, so we are posting the data, colon if request dot post dot get method between single quotes. Now in this single quotes, we have to add the selected checkbox values, the multiple selected checkbox values here. At this moment, I'm not adding anything here in this if condition get method. Now let's create an object. Save record is equals to the records we are saving. We need to add our class name checkbox. Then save record dot. From this model class, we need to add this hobby names. Copy this one, paste here. Hobby names is equals to, let's copy this if condition because these are the values we are getting from the checkbox controls. After that, we need to save the values using save method. So once the records are saved, now this function return render method. See here, that's the reason I have added the render class here. Return render request between single quotes. I am adding our template name, which is index.html. Else part, the else is for this first if condition, and return render request comma index.html. That's it. Let's save this views page, save all. Now we need to configure the URL pattern. So open the urls.py. Now in this urls.py, notice the URL pattern contains a default path which is the admin. I don't require this default path, so I'm commenting with hash. Let's add our path. After single quotes, I'm adding the page, the template we are getting from the views page. If you notice in the views page, we have added our render page index.html in this checkbox, insert checkbox values, the function name. Let's copy that function name. And so we need to import the views first. From dot import views, and here views dot, I'm pasting the function name. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. Now the most important, we need to configure our installed app name and the templates as well as the database connection string in this settings.py. Let's open settings.py, and the settings.py, the first point is, if you notice the install underscore apps, we need to install our application name. Between single quotes, our application name is insert multiple values. Then come to the bottom, you can find the templates, you can find the template section. In the template section there is a dirs directories. Let's add our base directory os.path .join method. In this join method, first I'm adding the base directory basc underscore dir comma, and we'll add our templates, the folder name between single quotes, templates. After that, come to the bottom. Now the database section, notice in this database there is a default database which is a SQL 3, which I don't require. Our database is MySQL. So let's add MySQL, and the name, let's delete this default line, and here the name is our database, name is sampledb. Let's add that one, sampledb. Next we have to add the user also. Username is root, and the next variable is password. Here the password is, I'm leaving blank because I don't have any password to log into my PHP my admin database. If you have any password, please enter between these single quotes. Now we have to add the host also. The host is local host. Then we require our SQL port number also. Our MySQL port number is MySQL 3306. Let's add that one, 3306, comma, and the last attribute is the options column between curly braces. The options first between single quotes, I'm adding init underscore command, and the command colon, again double quotes. I'm setting the SQL underscore mode is equals to between single quotes. The SQL mode is strict underscore trans underscore table. That's it. Let's save this file. File open, save all. After that, open index.html. Now after the checkbox control, I'm adding one text box control. So when a user selects any checkbox control, the values I want to first display on the text box control before insert the records. So let's add break. After the break, I'm adding input type is equals to text, and here I'm adding ID is equals to check text, and I'm adding the name is equals to. This is very important attribute, name is equals to. I am adding our hobby names. Copy that one and paste here. Let's close this text box element. Now the hobby names, copy this one, hobby names, open views.py, and if condition, paste here the hobby names, because this hobby names contains the selected multiple checkbox values. So I can switch back to the index.html. After the text box control, I am adding one button control. Input type is equals to submit, value is equals to insert. Let's close the button control. That's it. Up to now we have just finished the designing part in this index.html. Now before adding the jQuery functionality to get the selected checkbox values into this text box control, first we'll check the basic output, how it looks, the designing part on the browser. Let's save all the files, save all. So once the files are saved successfully, now switch to the terminal command prompt. Before run the server, first we have to add our application name to this folder. cd insert multiple values, enter. Now let's run the server. Python. To run the server, we need to use the Python manage.py, run server, enter. And see here once we run the after we run the server, we don't find any issues in our application, and below that we got the server link URL. Let's control plus mouse click, and see here we got the output of the code index.html, which contains the header tags. After the header tags horizontal line. So below that we got the checkbox elements. Now when a user selects any selected checkboxes, for example the user selects dancing, reading and skating, I want to display the selected radio button values into this text box control. After that I will insert those records into MySQL table, into this table, hobbies table. So for that I am using jQuery to fetch to get the selected radio button values into this text box control. So when we are implementing the jQuery functionality, first thing we require the latest jQuery CDN link. So first we'll grab that latest CDN link, open new tab and search for latest CDN Google jQuery, enter. And from the search results, I am selecting the first option, hosted libraries, which is at developers.google.com. Open that one. And in the Google hosted libraries, nowadays in the libraries, we got the script, the jQuery CDN version is 3.4.1. Let's copy this script, copy that one, Ctrl C, and add in our index page between the header section after the title. So once we add the latest jQuery CDN link, then add the script tag, close the script, close the script. Now before adding the jQuery functionality, first after the horizontal line, I'm adding the form tag, form element, and method is equals to post. Let's close the form tag. I'm closing this form tag after the submit button control. Next we need to add between curly braces percentage csrf underscore token. The csrf underscore token, it prevents our data to hackers from the hackers. So make sure add this csrf underscore token when you're using the method post. If you don't add this token, you will get an error. So after that, next, let's add a class is equals to chk box. Let's add this class for every checkbox control. Now let's start the coding part. In the script, now let's add the jQuery snippet to get the multiple selector values. Dollar document dot ready function curly braces I'm closing the semicolon. Now in this ready function, the first condition, when a user clicks this checkbox control, dollar between single quotes, I am adding the checkbox class name, which is a checkbox. When we are adding the class names in the jQuery, we need to prefix with a dot the checkbox dot click function again curly braces for this function. We need to close this function also. After that, the selector checkbox values I want to display in the checkbox control. So here I am declaring a variable text is equals to is empty right now, colon dollar between single quotes, I am adding dot checkbox colon check dot each function I am closing this function also with the semicolon. Next, text plus is equals to this variable. Notice here I have added plus is equals to, which means I am concatenating the multiple selected checkbox values. Dollar this dot val method plus, here I am concatenating the second checkbox value with the comma. I am separating the checkbox values using comma, between the checkbox values using comma, semicolon. Now those selected checkbox values I want to display in this checkbox text box element. So after the each function, dollar between single quotes, come to the bottom, I am adding the ID of the text box control. When we are adding the elements ID in the jQuery, we need to prefix with hash dot val method. In this val method, these are the values I want to print, semicolon. That's it. Let's save this file first. Now before insert the records, first we'll check the selected values are displaying in this checkbox control or not. I'm reloading the browser. Let's select dancing. See, here we got the dancing, reading. For unselect reading, it's gone. Cooking, skating. So those selected checkbox values I want to insert in this hobbies table when I click the button control. So let's start the coding part. We'll add the button control. So when a user clicks the button control, I want to display the message also. The selector checkbox values are inserted successfully. For that, I am using one more click functionality for the button control. Dollar between single quotes. I'll come to the bottom. Let's add the ID for the button control, but1. Add this ID but1 here. When we are adding IDs, we need to prefix with hash but1 dot click function click function click function, and this click function I'm adding the alert message box, a record saved successfully. That's it. Let's save this file. Save all. Now we'll check the output. I'm reloading the browser. Now I'm selecting drawing, cooking and skating. I have selected drawing, cooking and skating. Now before insert these selected checkbox values, let's browse the table again. Browse. Right now this hobbies table contains 0 rows. Let's insert. Click insert. See here we got a alert message, record saved successfully. Click OK. We'll check the table. Browse. So here we got the selected hobby names, and if you notice at the last we got the comma here, so let's remove this comma for the last character. Again switch back to the coding part, the JavaScript snippet. Before insert the selected checkbox values into the text box, let's add the substring method. Text is equals to text dot substring method and notice the substring method takes the starting number and ending number. The starting number is 0, the index value, comma, and the ending part is text dot length -1. I want to remove the last character, so I'm adding the -1. -1 semicolon. That's it. Let's save this file. Save all. We'll check the final output. Now I'm reloading the browser again. Let's select drawing and notice now we don't getting any comma here, but when I select the second value we got the separated with the comma. Now reading. Now this time I'm selecting drawing, cooking and reading, 3 hobbies. Let's insert. We got a message, record saved successfully. Click OK. Let's check our table. I'm reloading the browser. So here we got the newly inserted hobby names, drawing, cooking and reading, and we have removed the last comma. That's it. We have implemented to insert multiple selected checkbox values using jQuery in Python Django web tutorials. That's it.